All right, guys, Jeff Sintel, let's hit the field here with another 2020 recruit. This edition, we're talking about the intel on Eagles Landing Christian Academy receiver Justin Robinson. You're going to hear about that time he watched an entire basketball game with Kirby Smart, who had their phones out, who didn't have their phones out. You're going to learn about the position fit there for a guy that started as a receiver and as a cornerback for a state championship team. But let's dive into it with the intel. Let's hear from Justin and his head coach. Your junior film, what do you like, what do you not like, and what do you got to get better at and scratch your head about?
I mean, I like how aggressive I was this year. I feel like I can be better everywhere, you know.
What do you like specifically about Georgia?
You know, it's just a feeling, just I just get a different vibe from them, like this the place, you know.
What do they tell you? What do the coaches tell you when they're recruiting you? What are they saying where you're like, oh, they're laying it on, they're pitching me right now? What do they say?
You know, they just they make it feel like it's another home instead of like down here. Like I can be up there and they treat me like I'm their son, you know. So they just feel like they finna start something up, you know, football wise, and it's close to home to where all family can get there and watch the game. So I think that probably be.
You know, I think the biggest thing colleges have to do is project. You know, how big is this kid going to get? Like the University of Georgia, you know, how big is Justin going to get? How fast is he going to get? Where do they see him? They have to project that. And, you know, and him being 6'4", 210, and he's a hard worker. He can run. I think he ran 4.5 at their camp. He can jump 37 at their camp. You know, they're projecting him to be, you know, a wide receiver. I mean, he could play anywhere.
What's your favorite one?
I think my favorite story of Justin Robinson is we were playing in the semifinals. We go down to Savannah Christian, and Justin's a wide receiver. People were recruiting him to play wide receiver. And Savannah Christian put a safety over top of him, and they put a corner in his face. And so I told Justin, I'm not a coach that's just going to throw you the ball to make you happy. I'm like, dude, they're putting 2 on you. We're going to run the ball all night long, and we're going to throw it to Devin. And so he had 3 picks on defense. So if you can't get the ball on offense, go play defense and get the ball. I think that was probably my best story of Justin Robinson. Amazing hands. First thing I noticed about him, like, you know, that's another thing that you can't practice. You either have them or you don't. I mean, you can get better at it, but he just can snag the ball, you know, and he has the ability to just like back shoulder, you know, not back shoulder phase, but just back shoulder passes where he's running a vertical and bam, he has to cut and the ball's right there. He's very talented and he can catch those.
Strongest tool in his toolbox, is it his hands? Or is it just the length he has?
I think it's the length and the hands, you know, and I don't even think he knows how to use his length yet, you know, because if you look at his arms, he's got 6'8" arms. He's still refining the wide receiver in him, but I think just being 210 and being able to run a 4.5 and being able to jump 37 inches and being 6'4" with the 6'8" man wingspan. Where's the limit this kid can go? And I think that's why all these colleges are in here on him. Like, wow, what is this kid going to be like when he's a junior in college? Colleges don't really talk to me about that. They just talk about his length, his size, his speed, all that kind of stuff. I talked to him. I remember seeing Calvin Johnson when Calvin Johnson was at Georgia Tech, and he was a wide receiver. Calvin Johnson, the biggest thing about Calvin Johnson was how he looked like a tight end. And he's built like a tight end, yet he's a wide receiver, you know. And I'm not saying Justin Robinson is Calvin Johnson, but to me, that's kind of in the category he is. He's built like that. Like, I think when you see him, you know, 3 years from now, he'll be a 230-pound wide receiver, and that can line up in the slot and create mismatches. He can line up outside. I mean, they could do things with him from an H-back standpoint if they wanted to. I think he's a true wide receiver, though. But that's Calvin Johnson type deal because he can mismatch on anybody, and he's huge. And I think Justin's going to be very similar to that. Hey, does he get as good as Calvin Johnson? You know, we'll see. That's why everybody watches.
You want to see him put the ball in the air more, throw it more, or is what Georgia is right now enough for you? I mean, you need to see anything different out of the offense, or is it already a good fit for you right now?
That's a good fit. You know, Coach Hankton was telling me they're going 50-50 with the pass and run, so I think that'll be a good fit. The chance to sit down and watch a basketball game with Coach Smart, what's that like? Can you kind of recreate what's that like? Is he sitting there
getting mad on people for not playing defense, or does he like to see guys shoot it or jump and take shots? What's he like watching a basketball game with?
Coach Smart, he real into the game. He see a dunk, he get crazy. You know, he was fun sitting with him. I enjoyed it.
How long did you sit with him?
Probably the whole game.
The whole game?
Yes, sir.
Can you be on your phone when you're next to the head coach, or I mean,
nah,
what's that like?
I pulled it out one time, and he was like, "Nah, put it up." And I was like, "All right, yeah."
Was his phone up too?
No, he had it out, but you know, he put it up most of the time.
What were you saying? What's going through the mind there? What are you guys talking about? Are you talking about, oh my gosh, that was a good play, or?
Yeah, we were talking about the game. Then he was asking me about just school and stuff like that. So, you know, just chill moment.